This is Anna Twinney, the famous Anna Twinney, who's amazing with horses and the horse energy. And Anna, if I'm not mistaken, you teach how to work with the horse energy. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. One of my passions is to teach people how to connect with the wild horse. See, we can speak about all wild animals, but there's something special about the wild horse. The wild horse is a prey species, so they're not like the wolf. They're the ones that should be running away despite their size. And no matter how big they are, from 800 pounds to 1400 pounds on average, they're the individuals that would be alert and aware and even somewhat standoffish because they've got to sum you up as you approach them, the way you look, the way you move, the way you talk, what your intention is. So they've learned to read somebody's intention like no other species.
Is this with wild horses or is it with any horse?
When you're working with a wild horse, their awareness is heightened. When you work with them, they're having to read every movement in your essence. A domestic horse doesn't need to do that. They've been raised and reared around people. They pretty much know a routine if they're in a paddock or if they're in a stall. They know when you approach that you are the resource for food, and potentially if they need to be guarded because they're being abused or if they don't need to be guarded. But ultimately, the domestic horse is a tool, often a tool, a commodity, a farm animal, livestock, war hero, performance athlete. That's what your domestic horse is, right? They have to fit into our mold, generally speaking. Otherwise, we don't take care of them. They are at our whim. We can either see them as a prisoner or indeed quite personable, and we can see them as our partner. And that's the contrast in our world. They're either partners or they're prisoners.
How does one get to a horse? That's the first thing I'm going to ask because they are not everywhere. And the other thing is, what are they going to achieve by, so to speak, meeting a horse?
Though they may not be everywhere, people have already recognized their value. And I've been fortunate to fly out to Singapore, concrete city, where you wouldn't expect a horse to be, but they have a therapeutic barn out there, the only one. And I was asked to fly out to support the horses. And so my role, truthfully, is to give a voice to the voiceless. My drive is to give a voice to the voiceless. My drive is justice. My drive is for people to understand the horse completely, not blame a horse, not abuse a horse, not misunderstand a horse, to realize that they always have a reason to do something. My other drive with the wild horses is to bridge the gap between the two worlds, to basically state, we're going to be domesticating you, not at your choice. And so how do we make this easy? How do we make it as easy as possible? And that would mean that, generally speaking, in our world, we state, here you are, you need to enter ours. And so I'm going to train you in techniques. You have no clue what they mean, go against the nature of the horse. And if you do it wrong, we'll let you know because we make it uncomfortable, or work versus rest.
I mean, I have a 22-year-old son, I have an 18-year-old son, and I have, I work with fashion models, and I'm the oldest in the team there, and I'm meeting so many young people. And when I see these young people and I start to speak to them, the first thing I come across, and they open up and they speak to me and tell me that they don't know what they want to do in life because what they're trying to say is they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So, how can spending time with a horse help them understand themselves?
It's about learning to be compassionate to another instead of playing some kind of computer game to go, it's not realistic and we've lost all of our connection to an individual. We're no longer getting eye contact. It's all emails. People treat people poorly in emails because they think it's just another computer generated email. People have instant gratification where they press a button and they get a result from Google and everywhere else. So it doesn't matter how large or small the company is, they expect the same response. So it's all becoming unrealistic. So you come back to nature where your feet are on the ground and you're going back to the native speakers, which are the horses.
Mhm.
They will teach you how to walk on the earth. They'll teach you to how to be aware of what's happening with the barometric pressure change, with a predator coming in, with the weather change in general, how to operate as a herd. So you can't be a herd, one single member. There is no I in team, right? There's no I in just a herd. They have to operate with a multitude of individuals to make sure that family unit is strong.
Basically, what I'm taking as a layman of not knowing all of this is they help you go back to zero.
They're raw, right? They're raw individuals. What you have is what you get. If we're nervous then, or if we're happy, if we're sad, if we're grieving, they have equivalent emotions to human beings. So that's a big thing to know, that they have everything that we can feel, they feel. But they are stripped to authenticity. So that's what you're doing. You're being amongst authentic individuals. So if you're going to vibe on that same vibe and you're going to stand around them, you're going to have to meet that vibe of authenticity.
I have seen changes in humans spending time with horses, and I don't know how we can help other humans experience at least what I have experienced. How should you suggest, being one of the leaders in this community, how do you suggest that can happen and we can help other humans get closer to horses?
People seek them from all around the world, from babies, toddlers, children, all the way through to geriatrics and pensioners. These horses go into the streets of cities, into old people's homes. They go to children, and where people and children were unable to speak, they now speak. Where individuals could not walk, they now walk. There are survivors of extreme diseases. The survivors of PTSD. The results come from horses alone. There's nothing quite like hugging that horse.
You are that person who can help us in meeting the right horse and so on, and learning about the horse.
I've got a veteran, and I'll never forget his statement to me. He's in his 70s, and he said, "I'd like to come on your wild horse clinic." I said, "You know, it's a mega risk." And I'm thinking, here's a Vietnam veteran, and I'm saying it's a mega risk. He's risked his life. You can't get more than that. But I'm looking at him going, "You're a bit of a risk." And he said to me, "Anna, I want to die poor, but rich in experiences."
Oh,
and I said,
so true.
"Absolutely." I said, "I'll take you. I'll make your dreams come true." And so that's my vision, is to be able to put together a wild individual, and meaning the horse, and a human, to go, how do we meet each other in the middle through conversation? How do we do it through skill and heart, to say, I mean you no harm. You can come and reach out and touch me. And then you make a promise. And what you're doing is, the promise is, I will never hurt you. I will only ask you what you're capable of doing. And my job is to empower you, not to take your soul or your spirit, but to empower you. So that's the piece that I love about the wild horses.
Thank you for taking the time and talking to me and allowing us to do this interview. And we really appreciate it. I mean, I know what happens to me when I'm in the wild, and sometimes when I'm with the horses, and I would like that experience for others. And you are the person who allows that to happen. So teach us more, and we'll show this to everybody, and we'll come back and ask you for another interview if that's okay with you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.